bringing it up.
Yeah.
Hey, Jordan, good to see you. Hey, Eunice.
Okay.
I'm going to do a quick intro. This is Sandra Florent. Did I pronounce that right?
Yep. If
Sandra
you want to be
Florent.
French, you can say Florent, but I don't use the French pronunciation of my last name, unfortunately.
I took a little bit of French in high school.
Yeah, it's Florent, but I don't even pronounce it the way it's supposed to be.
Fair enough. And Sandra Florent, or Sandra Florent, is in charge of digital marketing and social media for a company called Mosaic. So without any further ado, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to me, speak to you, and answer some of the questions that you will have. So I am Sandra Florent. I'm a digital marketing and social media strategist. Currently, I work at Mosaic Group. And so we primarily work with nonprofit organizations, political organizations, and for-profit organizations on their social media. So we answer the question, or my job is to answer the question, and the problems that I solve are social media or digital marketing related. So how do I reach these clients? How do I run a Facebook ad? How should I speak to people on social media? My brand needs a revamp. So my job is to answer those questions, to strategize, and to use my brain to create words for the internet. That's literally the basics of what I do. I create words and videos for the internet. And so in addition to that, I do consulting work. So I work with small and medium-sized businesses doing something similar for them. So those that, they can't say hire a bigger agency, I do what I do during my 9 to 5, and I help them with their social media, their email. So my role is I'm on the back end of social media. So for you guys who use Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, whatever social media, I'm on the back end of that. So I go in and I say, hey, your last 5 posts, high schoolers between the ages of 13 and 18, they really engage with that. So I read the data. So my job also involves math, which I did not think that it was, which is why I got into this. But math has snuck its way into my life either way. So for all of you who are not fans of math, it will follow you. But it's math that I understand and that I enjoy, because I can understand a 3% increase in someone liking a post, or we're getting more followers, and because we posted this thing at 6 p.m., it increased the amount of people who liked or commented or shared. So my job is really on the back end of social media, but also the front end. How pretty does something look on social media? What are the graphics? I also deal with the diversity of that particular content. So are we only showing Caucasian men? Should we diversify? Are we only showing women? Should we be showing more youth? And so my job is to look at things from a different angle and to say, hey, we may need to incorporate different types of people in the content that we're showing. So that's primarily what I do. As far as education-wise, I went to Irvington High School, if you're familiar with New Jersey, and then I went to college at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I majored in communications, and education doesn't just stop at college. Especially in my field, it's something where you have to continue learning. There's always something new. There's an algorithm change. I know some of you may have noticed Instagram took away likes for about an hour or two. But in my profession, I already knew that Instagram was taking away likes. And so that was something that I was paying attention to. I was already doing that research, so it wasn't a shock to me. Now Instagram says it was a glitch, but Instagram has already said that they want to take away likes. So my job is also to see, hey, if Instagram takes away likes, how is that going to affect the companies that I work with? How is that going to affect even my own personal brand, for people who are looking for likes as a measure of how good or bad a product or service is? So definitely college is one continued step in learning, but you're going to have to continue your learning from there. On a personal level, I am a first generation college graduate. I'm one of the first couple of people in my family to go to college and one of the handful that actually graduated from college. I am a first generation Haitian American. So that means that my mom and my dad immigrated to America and I am their American child. So that's a lot of pressure that I took on to really help propel it forward of people who come to a country not knowing the language, not knowing the system, and they put into them, okay, their own American dream is now instilled in me. But I was able to find my own path. I did something that not many people in my family do. I'm one of the few that is in a creative type of field. We have a lot of teachers, lawyers, nurses, but not someone who life revolves around the internet and Instagram and social media. In addition to that, I'm part of a sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, which has played an instrumental role in some of the things that I'm able to do. Hello, Basade. Oh, hello, Sister Greek Sylvia. Nice to meet you. So, as a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, as I said, I'm a first generation college graduate, high school student, and that sort of thing. So, being a part of an organization where there was already a foundation around scholarship, service, sisterhood, and finding womanhood really helped me to figure out how I wanted to do some of those things. There was already a blueprint there, and I was able to use being part of Zeta to help me with my blueprint and achieve what I wanted to achieve. Because of my involvement with Zeta, I hold positions on the different levels of our sorority. So on the national level, I handle social media. And all the other levels too, I handle social media. So essentially, for those that some people, their career path is they like to divide their work. So they may work in, say, a more technical space, but they have a creative outlet. I'm one of those people that I'm immersed in social media all the way through. The things that I take on typically involve social media or digital marketing in some way. So if you're looking for that person to tell you to balance your life, I may not be that person because I'm just immersed. But what helps is that I do it from different aspects. So I do social media on the nonprofit side, but I also work with those who do website development. I work with those who they do restaurants. So I'm able to use social media for different types of businesses and brands. So then it helps me when I have to come up with ideas or work with a graphic designer or web designer. So as you can see, I have my social media handles up top because what kind of digital marketer would I be? If you're looking to find me, I'm on Instagram. My website is sandraflorent.com, and that's important for you as well to brand yourself. Definitely, find something, make the one part of the internet yours, whether it's a website, your Instagram, an email newsletter, something where you can collectively let people know what you're doing on a professional and personal level. I definitely use my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my website to tell people about me, about what I do. It helps me when I'm looking for jobs, and it also helps when people are looking to hire me for their particular business. So definitely use that as well. Now we're in this virtual world. And I also want to shout out my college, Fairleigh Dickinson, because we were one of the first colleges to offer distance learning, which I used to hate because it's like, I don't have to go to class. You want me to do everything online. And now everything's online. And I kind of, I have a leg ahead of all of that where it comes to virtual learning. So you do want to make sure you have a piece of the internet that's for you, where you own it. You can tell people about what you're doing, because in case social media goes away, you have, say, a website or email newsletter where you can keep people updated, and it's a great way to network. That's one thing I do want to, impart, is that networking where you're learning from somebody else, someone is teaching you, and it's a mutual exchange. That's something that I wish I learned earlier on. In high school, I did have a teacher, Rita Owens, who is Queen Latifah's mom, if you know, Dana Owens. And so she would really try to make sure if there were things happening, she would bring us along. So that way I got to interact with adults at an early age and see how they acted professionally. And so when I needed, say, a reference or asked a question, there were adults that I can go back to and send them an email, maybe give them a phone call and talk to them in a professional manner. And so I think as high schoolers, it is important to start thinking of networking. Who is in your network? Your peers, your teachers, adults that you can go to if you have a professional related question or something personal where you're trying to, say, develop your personal brand. Like, who am I? Like, what do people say I'm good at? And so you have someone that can help you bounce those ideas. And that way, if they see an opportunity, you're one of the first people that they think of. for me, it was always if there was some type of hosting, some type of talking thing, Sandra was the one that they would call because I made myself available to them. If there was some, I would follow up with them. I would keep in touch with them periodically. So that's something that I definitely think as high schoolers, it's important to realize how to network. And for those that are more introverted, I definitely think it's something that you can practice, because I understand not everyone is an extrovert. You can't just, whether it's virtual or not, going up to people, asking them who they are and what do you do and how can I be of assistance or what question are you trying to solve. It may be a little frightening. So it does take some practice. So you use your friends, use your peers, and even practice with yourself. YouTube is a great resource, Google as well, and see how to talk to people in a networking setting, how to speak about what I do. And you can practice those steps so that way, as we move on, whether it's a virtual world or when we're able to be in person, you'll also have a leg up. So that's enough talking because I can talk a lot. So I'm open to your questions, whether it's career related in regards to digital marketing, social media, or if you're wanting to learn maybe more about what I was able to do as on a personal level, being like a first generation student in college graduate.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that information. That all sounds so super interesting. I'm going to open the floor to students. If you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hands or type them in the chat. Oh, we already have a question. Of course, it's Anijah. Go ahead, Anijah.
My question is, what do you think is the most difficult part of your job?
Coming up with things out of thin air. That's the most, like, ideas, like my job is ideas. Like I create things out of thin air. And so that means I always have to be reading something, engaging. My brain is always on, which is kind of a good and a bad thing. So even now, as I'm talking to you guys, like I'm getting ideas of just like, ooh, I can use this for this. Like, ooh, this is a good virtual back. Like my brain is always going. So for example, one of the clients that I'm working with, they are a coin company. I know nothing about coins. So what do I have to do? I have to backtrack. I have to research coins, different names, the people who are interested in it. And I now have to think of how can I translate what they do on social media? What's the best way to show a coin? How do I tell you the coin is on sale without telling you it's on sale? So I have to make my brain work in two different ways. I have to think of the business who wants to make money, and that's the goal, is to sell. And then I have to think about you, the potential customer. How would you want me to speak to you? Do you want me to be more persuasive? Like, are you thinking about a fundraising gift for you and your organization? Or do you want a more direct, hey, we're on sale now, 50% off, get it or don't, or lose it? I have to make that come out of thin air and then present that to the client and explain to them why I'm doing it this way.
Awesome. Thank you. Another question in the chat. Were you ever scared to put yourself out there?
Yes. I get nervous every time I speak, which one of my mentors told me is good because that means I'm not complacent. So I get nervous, I get scared, especially when I didn't know if what I was doing was the right way. Like like I had to literally go to the library. I didn't have a computer at my house. So I'm researching how do you talk to, and I'm doing that in a way, but there was no one to bounce it off on. But I did have the opportunity to be a part of numerous clubs in high school, which definitely take advantage of all the clubs. So I was part of the youth auxiliary for Zeta Phi Beta, which is called the Arcanettes. I was in a mentorship program, Daughters of Destiny, Sons of Promise. So being part of those organizations helped me to learn how to speak better, how to talk to people. And even though I was scared, I was doing it in an environment that was nurturing. So I didn't feel like, oh, I'm going to fail. These are friends, these are peers, these are adults that I trust. So they were able to like provide correction without me feeling bad. But even when I had to do it in real life, I'm always still nervous, and I just take a breath. And it's not like I'm doing surgery. So I don't get, if I don't speak well one day, try it again.
Thank you. Another question was, what interested you in this business?
So I started out doing public relations. So public relations is more writing press releases, getting the media to write about your client. And so that started to be tough when the internet came around and the onset of blogs and having to figure that out. So working with some clients, it was like, well, I need to update my Facebook page. I need to do my YouTube. I'm having an album release party. We need to shoot a video. And so my work started to shift from just doing plain public relations to more digital. And so because I saw that shift, I decided to shift with it. And I got a certification in digital marketing from General Assembly. So in addition to my degree, I went and received some extra education so that I could shift to digital marketing because I saw the shift. Like I saw the trends. Like everybody wanted a YouTube channel. Everyone wanted a Facebook page, Instagram. And so I had to learn how to work those things. And plus I could charge more money if I knew how to do it, if I'm being honest. So I decided to learn how to do it so I could charge more money.
Awesome. You shared something personal that also resonated with me because I had similar experiences being a first generation college student and being from a culture that like, put a lot of pressure on us to be successful, to be, certain odds. How did you handle that pressure growing up? What are some tips that you have for students who might be going through similar things? Any tips or advice?
Okay, so this is like a very personal thing, and I'm gonna try to keep it because this is one of the things I talk about the most. Like I love speaking to first generation students. Like that's one of my niches. Like in addition to all this digital stuff, I do public speaking. So being a first generation student, it's tough, and you have to really give yourself some grace because you're going to stress yourself out trying to do what you want to do and stress yourself out about what your parents want you to do. You just got to do what you want to do. I know your parents, they love you. They came to this country. They learned a new language. They worked. I know. And it seems really, really counterintuitive to tell your parents who work 40, 50 hours a week that you want to be on a computer all day and write Instagram posts. No, it's not. I tell my mother I write for Instagram. She's like, I don't get it. You don't want to be a nurse? To this day, my mother would rather I'm a nurse or a doctor. And I'm like, I don't like blood. So my tip is figure out what you want to do and be able to explain it. Like I said, I tell my mother every day what I do. She still doesn't get it, but I repeat it to her. So at least it's just a reminder. So one, figure out what it is that you want to do and understand what you want to do will change. And that's okay. Our parents, when they came to this country, they just wanted to pick one thing that provided stability for them. You now have more of the option. You are that generation that's going to propel your family lineage forward. Don't put all that stress on you to take your family 50 years into the future. You may only be able to take your family 25 years into the future, but that's fine. It's okay. Like my mom did not graduate from high school or college, anything. I've achieved a lot by graduating from college. Now, my children, they might go get a master's degree or a PhD. They've moved the family forward. So you can't put the pressure on yourself to accomplish all the things that your parents want you to do. So one, figure out what it is that you want to do and be able to articulate that to your family. You're going to have to repeat it over and over and over again, but that's okay. Just keep reminding them. Well, why do you want to do that? Because this, and this. Well, and just be a broken record to them. Number two, find people in your community that either do the same thing that you do or are achieving at a high level. So in college, I joined the Haitian Cultural Association. I was on the executive board. I went to other colleges, Haitian events, just so I could be around people who understood my cultural dynamic. Because being Haitian is very specific. They understand how your parents act. So I was able to get some knowledge on how to speak to my mother, resources, grants, scholarships for Haitian American students. So find people that are for some cultures, there's not a lot, but you maybe have to be the one that creates that organization or student group. But find an organization that services your community that will help you deal with some of the stressors that will come to your specific group. So definitely do that. And the third one is write it out and make it plain. Whatever idea that you have, whatever's stressing you out, write it down and come back to it. So many things that I've written down or made a note of, it's not as bad as it seems. Or if it was, I was able to figure it out later on. Like mom is acting crazy. How do I explain to her why I want to do this? My boss doesn't understand that I'm Haitian American and not Black American. How do I explain? And so you write it down and you come back to it. Got it. How to explain to my boss that I'm Haitian American and not Black American, so I'm not the cultural person for all Black things. Because in the moment, you're going to be so nervous. You're going to be so flustered. No, take the time, write it down, come up with your game plan. So that's what worked for me. Hopefully one or two of those things work for you.
Thank you, Eunice. I hope that answered your question, because your question was similar to mine, and she said a lot of useful information. And Jeremiah asked, do you think the information you learned along the way or work you did was worth it?
Yes. Everything has come back in one way or the other. One way or the other. For example, I used to work for King Supermarkets. It's a high-end supermarket. I think they're going bankrupt now, but I used to work for them. And I worked in their marketing department, and they would send me out to events because it's something that I like to do. I was a good representative for the company. And so one of the organizations that they sent me out to was called Homeless Solutions. So I go, I meet the people, we gave them a check, a whole bunch of things. Years later, I ended up working for Homeless Solutions. But during my interview, I was able to explain to them, oh, I went to an event of yours. I learned what your organization does. I know this is how you spend your money. So everything I've learned has come back. And remember that learning is not just what you learn in high school and college. It's that lifelong learning. So things that you might learn from your friends, from your teachers off the cuff, those are all learning experiences. So don't just pigeonhole yourself to just, oh, I learned this in class, or, it's all around you is the opportunity to learn. And that's how I viewed my life. And that has helped me tremendously.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you. What qualifications do you need? I think you spoke about this already, but I don't know.
To be a digital marketer.
Mm-hmm.
So the strategist part is the little tricky. The strategist just means that you think ahead. And so there's not really anything you can do for that, but you can take like psychology to help you understand how humans think and how colors make people interact. And you can read those types of studies, but you should get either a communications, or there are digital marketing certifications. So that really breaks it down. So either something in communications, media relations, or digital marketing, you can get a certification. More digital marketing, graphic design. So either you know how to make the graphics, either through, like, there's Canva now, which allows for, if you're not that proficient, say in Photoshop or Adobe, but the graphic design is important, even if you don't know how to make the designs, but you can speak to a graphic designer, because that's something else that's important. I don't make graphics. I can tinker, but I know how to speak to a graphic designer. I know how to say, let's reduce the ratio. Let's make this 1-to-1. Let's make this 16:9. So learning how to speak some of that language when it comes to graphic design and website development. So in the courses that you take, you want to take courses that maybe are introduction to graphic design or website development or user experience. That will help you, but your overall degree might want to be in something communications related, because it is focused on talking to a customer or consumer.
Awesome. Did you experience any struggles while trying to get into this business?
Yes, I did. My industry is very cookie cutter, and I'm not a cookie cutter person by any chance. So initially it was very difficult, and I graduated in 2009, which was the first recession. So graduating when having no experience and you're in the job field with people who have, say, 10 years experience, but they're willing to work for less. So that was hard because I'm thinking I can graduate and I can get a job entry level for this amount of money, but someone else who has more experience is now willing to work for what I would be paid. So it was very difficult. And so that's when I initially started doing freelance work, which is just working like on a consulting basis, trying to get clients, hustling, going to the city, going to networking events, trying to get people to hire me fresh out of college. And so I had to make my own lane, but it was difficult on two levels. One, dealing with those who were willing to work for less. And just because of my ethnic and racial background, a lot of people were just not willing to take a chance on someone who looked like me.
Thank you. Do you see people's personal pictures or videos on these social medias?
Yes. Everything stays forever. Yes. I see, because sometimes clients will accidentally send us things. I manage the inbox for some clients, and it's like people send crazy messages. So you know how when you maybe a lot of it is like, I would say like airlines, when you send a complaint, like there's a real person who reads those complaints. So people will send us pictures of variety of stuff, and it's like, I'm a real person who sees this. Now, of course, policy procedure, I don't save them, I don't keep them, but depending on maybe what the complaint, question, or concern is, I may have to save it somewhere and it might get encrypted. But yes, people send us crazy things. Language is often very colorful sometimes.
Can you say more about that? Everything on social media stays, because I try to emphasize this for students every year, especially going into, college application process. Can you just like, shed some-
I don't, everything stays forever. Like people are making applications to scrub the internet. Like for me, if even things such as email address, let's just take it to the basic, your email address. Right now, I can get an app. If you follow a page on social media, I can use that app and I can clone your email address from someplace you followed on social media. So for example, if you like Supreme's Instagram, if I have a client that you match the demographic of Supreme and their demographic is like Supreme's, I can clone all the email addresses that are associated. So you may have your email address on your profile. You may not have it encrypted. I can get it. And then you wonder why am I getting all these emails? Because you left it open for me to get. It's not against the law. So I did it. You post something to, and the other thing is, just because your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is private, doesn't really help. Screenshots live. So you have to just be very careful. Colleges and universities know the applications, the people who their job is to crack into. You've left a crumb somewhere that they can backtrack. So things stay online. And I know we want to have fun. I'm not against any of that, but certain things can come back to you. And that even goes for IG stories, because when I talked before about trends, so of course people were concerned, like, oh my God, they're tracking us on social media. I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. So you have Snapchat, you have IG stories, Facebook stories, right? So the goal is it goes away after 24 hours, but that still gets saved to the server. It still gets saved to the cloud, because if the police want something, they can go and subpoena that request. And remember, Facebook and Instagram ask you, do you want to archive this? So you have your highlight. So if it goes away in 24 hours, how come I'm able to put it on my highlight? Right? So it doesn't really go away. Nothing really ever goes away. Once you put it online, it is there forever, unless like it's a website that maybe you owned and you delete it. But once you start using third party, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, things like that, even email, third party things, it's not yours anymore. You've now given permission for this company to utilize your likeness. Now, if you check the policies and procedures, they might tell you we delete it permanently after a year or 90 days. But who knows what you could be doing during that time. But if you are applying for colleges and things like that, at minimum, you may want to make your social media private. So anything that you posted after the fact doesn't get seen, but anything you posted before is up for grabs for them to look at. So just be mindful of that.
Thank you. And also be mindful of what you send to other people that you think is a private message, because it's not. Snapchat disappears, but like she stated, it's still always there. And Ms. Jonathan's face was like, please don't post anything that you're gonna regret later. I was watching her the whole time. Yes, so you guys just be really mindful of that for your future, whether it's for colleges or whether it's a job. Just be mindful of what you post, okay? Have you ever guided someone who wanted to be an entrepreneur since you're connected to social media?
Well, yes. So I have a very large family. So being that first generation, so I was the first one to like stay away at college and all that stuff that my family wasn't. So my younger cousins, I'm the one that they come to when they're trying to do things that are outside of the purview of what the family expects. So yes, I offer insights. I tell them, hey, you may want to check this out for like I mentioned Canva, like graphic design is tricky. So I'll tell them, hey, check out Canva. Oh, here's this webinar that you might want to check out for entrepreneurship. So I do offer insight, information, like light mentorship. Like I'm not a too hands-on type person when it comes to that, but questions, comments, they'll usually email me, text me. I'm like, oh, I do know someone that does that. Oh, I do know someone that might be able to help you, and I'll send that out to them.
Awesome. Have you ever had any bad experiences with people you work with?
Yes, I have. Yes. Corporate America is it's a different place. And it wasn't a place that I was used to. I wasn't accustomed to. Hate to keep beating a dead horse, but no one in my family works in corporate America. They don't know human resources. They don't even know who the human resources person is. They know nothing. Not, no fault of their own, but it's not something that, hey, you don't have a human resources department to call when you have trouble with your boss. Like, they don't know. So, and their expectation of America was very different from my expectation of myself. So I did have two, I would say, experiences that kind of, I don't know. I don't want to use like a bad word, but like, I don't want to use trigger, but like, it showed me like the bad side of corporate America. I had one boss who told me that she is a type A personality, and I did not know what that meant. And I was like, I don't understand what type A personality means. Basically, it's just that she is very direct. She wants things her way and not the highway. And so I was like, I don't understand what any of that means. And so basically she's a micromanager. So she wants an update every 5 minutes about certain things. She wants to go over everything together. And that's something I had to learn, like management style. I didn't know what that meant. So I had to go learn what management style, how do I manage people? How do I like to be managed? So it took some introspection. And then I had another boss where they do like performance reviews. That's something that I did not have any idea about. And so they're doing performance reviews. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And so I'm telling her, oh, I want to be a consultant. That's something long-term that I want to do. And I want to build my own brand. But, I definitely think here are some things that I have that I think the organization can do better. That got to the CEO, and the CEO called me into the office and was like, oh, so I hear you're trying to leave and start your own consulting business. And I was like, no, that's not what I said. So I had to learn how to not say everything, understand different management styles, and to learn when a management style didn't work for me, and that human resources is a very important department in your job. So you need to know who runs human resources and documents everything.
Yes, definitely do that. And how diverse is your job and the team you work with?
Oh, my job now is great. It's so diverse. It's one of the most diverse places that I've worked at so far. So we have just out of college young women. We have this is probably the most women I've worked with as well, like women of color, Black women. We have, yeah, I think we want to, like, it's a very person of color, Black person friendly organizations. 2 of the partners are women. So I think we're considered like a woman-owned business because of that fact, but it is very diverse, and is one of the most diverse places that I worked at so far.
Awesome. We are actually down to 6 minutes left. I was actually typing in the chat. Students, you guys should definitely screenshot the background if you want to stay connected via the website available or the Instagram available. And if you have any last minute questions to wrap up, raise your hand or type it in the chat.
Right. And also just on the professional development side, if you don't have a LinkedIn account, I didn't want to clog up the background, but LinkedIn is a good resource and you may want to start using it now. LinkedIn is more of a professional social media. So that's also something to consider. Like if you want to keep people away from your Instagram and your Twitter, have a LinkedIn account that shows up higher than your other more personal accounts. And a LinkedIn is just a professional networking setting. You can research people, you can send them messages. There is, you know, it's different, of course, from your other social media channels, but it's a good way for you to kind of peek in and see how professionals talk to each other. You can send out requests, you can learn different things. They have great things on how to interview, you know, articles that you can read from people in top industries. So LinkedIn is another place, and you can find me there too, Sandra Florent. You can find me on LinkedIn, and that's a great way to start building your professional network.
Awesome. With the 5 minutes that we have left, do you guys want to ask anything or make any comments? Or you can also share anything else that comes to mind.
Anything else? I would say just don't put so much pressure on you so early. Life is long and it's short. So it's kind of that duality. I live my life by that, like, life is going to life. So you just have to, don't stress yourself out too much because it's long and it's short. But what you like now at 17, 16, 15, you might not like at 35, 25. So the career you pick now, you may change and it's okay. And don't be afraid to change, because I thought I was going to be a top public relations person. I was going to be the next Samantha Jones. You know, I was going to be in New York City. I was going to have a corner office. And that was how I viewed my success. But life changed. They made adjustments. And so I adjusted with it and I paid attention to what those changes are. So just be okay with things changing, and the things that you may enjoy now, you may not like it as a job later on, and that's okay. And just find another way to do something else. And everything may not have to be your job. It may just be a hobby that you do, but it's okay to change. Okay, you might want to do business, but now maybe you want to be an architect or something. So it's okay to make those changes. Did you have, oh, you had a question, Basade? Oh, the top companies. So the good thing about digital marketing and social media, there's so many places that you can work that are top in different things. So if you want to do nonprofit, if you want to do sports, so the options are endless. A good resource for that is to look at Ad Color. There's Ad Week, there's PR Week, and they often do highlights of different businesses, and you can, businesses and companies, and you can look at places like, oh, I didn't realize that Supreme uses this digital marketing company. Oh, I didn't realize that Nike uses this digital marketing. So that will help you realize what is out there for you, because there's so many. And that's the good thing. You can find a very specific niche for yourself. So if you love fashion, you can do eco-friendly fashion, you can do urban fashion, you can do couture, and there's going to be an agency for that. But looking at some of the trade publications will help you figure out what companies and businesses you may want to work for or work with.
Awesome. Ms. Laue also asked, what is an average starting salary in your field?
starting, the salary is going up. So starting can be anywhere from like 38,000 to 40,000, depending on where you stay. I want to say it's some US government website. I'm sorry, I forgot the name, that kind of tells you where your particular field, where it pays the most. So for my field, the East Coast, the outlier, so your New York, Connecticut, those are highest paid, and then your West Coast, California, Arizona, Las Vegas. But Glassdoor is another resource if you want to look and see how much do certain companies pay and how much is the average salary. But right now, like fresh out of college, things like that, you're looking anywhere between $38,000 to $40,000, and the sky's the limit. It depends on what the budget is. You can make six figure, you can make $100,000, you can make, and it all is about how you think, how creative you are. Can you do graphic design? Can you do what, like, can you do all of those things, or do you have to outsource it? So you have to make yourself valuable, and there is a dollar amount associated with that. I don't know how we feel, but the more you make yourself valuable, the more people will pay you. So if you can say, I can hire one person, and that one person can come up with the content, make the graphics, update my website, and do my email, you can charge what you want and add tax.
You're making me reevaluate my career.
I mean, there's money to be had. There is, and I think especially now, because everyone is home, and a lot of businesses who didn't really care about their website, they didn't care about their social media, you have to care now. Everyone is looking for things online. No one is really going to the store. So how am I going to attract those people? So you need to hire someone that can tell you, this is how I can find you on Google better. I can create your display ads for Google. So, like I said before, math isn't my thing, but I know math enough for my job. But if you are a math person, pay per click. You can tell someone, okay, if you spend $100 on this ad and it costs 5 cents per ad, your ad will run for this many weeks. That's a valuable resource. So you just made some money. You charge someone $30 an hour to review their ads because math isn't their thing. And you say, pay me $500 for the month and I'll come in, or pay me $40 an hour, make it a 3-hour day. There's money to be had. That's what I'm telling you. Like, it's
are you hiring anyone for your team?
I know. I wish. Listen, I wish.
Well,
I'll get there when I can do more hiring.
Thank you so much for being here with us today and just taking the time to talk about this, all these great opportunities and even sharing some personal experience. We really appreciate it. Thank you, students, for asking such great questions and being present.
Thank you.
Like I said, save the information in the background just so you can learn more and stay in touch if you have more questions after. And you shall be getting to your next session soon.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. And of course, website, Instagram, or LinkedIn, find me. And I would love to stay in touch.
Thank you, Sora. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, fellow Greek. Bye.
Bye.
Mr. Goldberg, didn't they say that we had to do 3 classes and that's it?
Yeah, so if you
minimum of 3.
Yeah, if you signed up for only 3, then you're good to go. But there are some students who signed up for more.
Okay.
Enjoy your day.
You too.
See you, Jamie. Miss you in my class.
Thank you for being here, Sam.